Sor Maria Manuela Margarita, at the age of 26, achieved a lot for a woman in the 1770s. Not only she was pure-blooded Spaniard with excellent health, but also she received a good education, had learned fine manners, developed a great personality, and she knew how to read and write in Spanish and Latin, as well as how to sew, cook, sweep, wash dishes, and do laundry. She also knew a little bit of medicine. All of these things, along with having a true vocation and permission of the priest and her parents, were prerequisites to enter the Convento de San Felipe de Jesus, a congregation of Capuchinas in Mexico City. Although the painting represents a modest nun, this woman had all the means to be living an extravagant life, which she declined. She became a nun in this convent in 1770 and died at the age of 26. This painting was commissioned after her death by the wealthy family of Sor Maria, which gained high social status by having her in the convent. They chose the acclaimed painter Jose de Alcibar to paint her. From the inscription in the left corner, it can be read that Sor Maria Manuela Margarita became a nun in 1770 in the Convento de San Felipe de Jesus, a congregation of Capuchinas in Mexico City on September 14, and that she died at the age of 26 and 10 months on September 19. It is not clear from the description how long she had lived in the convent before her death. The Capuchinas nuns come from a branch of the Pobres Clarisas de la Primitiva Observancia. The order has existed since 1600. They arrived to Mexico City in 1665, founding a convent under the name of San Felipe de Jesus due to the request of the benefactor Isabel de Barrera. It was destroyed in 1861 because the land was worth more than the convent. It is important to mention that San Felipe de Jesus was the first Mexican saint and that he is one of the patron saints of Mexico City. He was crucified on February 5 of 1597 in Japan, beatified and later canonized in 1862. Mexicans started to venerate him after his crucifixion. Compared to the others, this religious order was the poorest in colonial Mexico, but one of the hardest to be accepted into. Sor Maria Manuela and her companions only ate bread, vegetables, and drank water. They lived from charity and had no possessions. Also, they were required to live day by day without saving food for the next day to demonstrate their vote for poverty. The life of a nun at the time was a life commitment and an attractive profession for women since they did not have many options, and it was considered a social prestige for their families. The poverty in which they lived is reflected in the clothing of Sor Maria Manuela Margarita. The Capuchinas wear a sackcloth of the color brown, a string belt, sandals made of wood, and a hood. Hanging from the neck is usually a metal medallion, which is not present probably because this convent specifically decided to omit it as a part of the clothing. Due to all this, her garment looks rough and of bad quality. Despite all the conditions and the lack of luxury, this was one of the most aspired convents, and the waiting list was long for all qualified women. Sor Maria's days started at 4 a.m. when she went to the chorus, prayed until 6 p.m., ate and returned to the chorus again and stayed there until 8 p.m. Then she slept for a little and went back to pray at 11 p.m. Day and night were dedicated entirely to God. It does not matter if it's day or night, since the Capuchinas are always active in their labors. The Capuchinas' rules follow extreme poverty, austerity, rigid closure from the world, humility, and intense praying, which Jose de Alcibar portrays in this picture. In the painting, the crucified Christ and the Bible represent the extreme praying that she was required to do day and night. Also, the nun is probably depicted at night, which was not rare since they had little sleep due to the rigorous schedule they followed. During the Spanish colonial period, the nuns worried about what they could see with their eyes and what they could not, who they could see and who they could not, and how and where they should focus their sight. The fact that Sor Maria Manuela Margarita is looking at the ground is reflective of this preoccupation. She believed that her eyes could catch images that could distract her from her path to salvation. To avoid judging and imagining others' sins, she avoided direct eye contact with people. Here, the nun is directing her sight to the ground, showing demureness, humility, submissiveness, and purity. Additionally, her hands are also covered, since not only the visual could distract her from her salvation, but also the other human senses. Her hands are covered to avoid using them in a way that could bring about sin. The room looks quiet and lonely, probably because sounds could also bring distraction to her path, and she's spending time with herself to avoid any other sensation, to perfect her spiritual connection with God. Not only her actions, but also her vestment could help her blur herself from society by being isolated to remove the impurities that humans share. The objective of the Capuchinas was to see with the soul and not with the human senses, and this idea is depicted effectively in this painting.